Hello, and welcome back to What Is, where we take the vast, complicated universe and shrink it down into something you can explain to your uncle at Thanksgiving. Today, we're asking, what exactly is artificial selection? To start, look around you. If you have a dog, look at that dog. If you're sitting on a cushion, look at the cushion. Then imagine where the cotton came from. If you're eating a banana, look at that sad, seedless yellow crescent. None of those things are accidents. They are monuments to human micromanagement. They are proof that when it comes to evolution, we often prefer being the boss rather than letting nature take the wheel. Artificial selection, also known as selective breeding, is the process where humans intentionally choose organisms with desirable traits and breed them together to produce offspring with enhanced versions of those traits. Think of it like this. Natural selection is evolution by accident. It's the survival of the fittest, a slow, brutal process driven by environmental pressures. The fastest antelope lives. The camouflaged moth avoids being eaten. No one is taking notes. No one is making a plan. Artificial selection is evolution by agenda. It's the survival of the useful. We aren't waiting for a mutation to occur randomly. We are actively hunting for the mildest temperament, the biggest yield, or the fluffiest coat. And then we are playing matchmaker. We become the ultimate gatekeepers of the gene pool. But wait. How does this actually work? It is a slow, tedious, and often hilariously specific process. Let's take the dog again. About 15,000 to 30,000 years ago, there were no poodles or Dalmatians. There were just wolves. Humans, probably living in small camps, noticed that some wolves were less prone to eating their babies and running away when a human coughed loudly. These calmer, more tolerant wolves were allowed to stick around. Their offspring inherited that calmer disposition. Generation after generation, the only wolves allowed to reproduce were the ones whose traits served human needs: loyalty, alertness, and, crucially, a reduced desire to maul the shepherd. Fast forward a few millennia. We stopped needing mere companions and started needing specialists. We needed a dog that could burrow after badgers, enter the dachshund, genetically engineered to be a living, low-riding torpedo. We needed a dog that could herd sheep across vast distances, enter the border collie. A canine workaholic with the stare of an accounting manager. The difference in size between a Great Dane and a Yorkshire Terrier is staggering. They are the same species, yet one is a furry handbag, and the other is a small equine capable of knocking over furniture. That divergence did not happen by accident. It was the result of thousands of years of human preference. Preference for the quaint, the sturdy, or the truly ridiculous. And we didn't stop at pets. Consider what we did to the humble grass called teosinte. If you looked at teosinte today, you would never guess it was the ancestor of modern corn. Teosinte produced only a handful of hard, tiny kernels protected by tough shells. It was barely edible. But someone, thousands of years ago, in what is now Mexico, looked at that scraggly plant and thought, I bet I can make that bigger. They planted the seeds from the teosinte plants that had a slightly softer husk or slightly more exposed kernels. They repeated this process for several thousand growing seasons. We selected for sweetness, for size, and for ease of peeling. Today, what we call sweet corn is essentially a genetic sugar explosion. A vegetable born not for survival in the wild, but for dousing in butter and eating at a picnic. The modern, soft, kerneled, defenseless ear of corn would last approximately 45 minutes in the wild before being consumed, trampled, or simply dissolving in the rain. We have made corn that cannot survive without us. That is the ultimate proof of successful artificial selection. and the applications are endless. We did the same thing with wild mustard, selecting for different traits to create cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, and Brussels sprouts. Yes, every single one of those radically different, often reviled vegetables came from the same single wild ancestor. We just selected for different parts of the plant, the stem, the leaves, or the flowering buds. Artificial selection proves that evolution does not require the slow hand of nature. It merely requires a determined breeder with a specific idea of what they want. But there is a flip side to this genetic control. Sometimes, when we select for one exaggerated trait, like the short snout of a bulldog for aesthetic reasons, we unintentionally compromise the health of the entire organism, leaving it vulnerable to breathing problems or hip dysplasia. We become victims of our own success, whether applied in a controlled lab environment to maximize disease resistance in cattle, or accidentally in a backyard garden to cultivate a particularly fragrant strain of rose. Artificial selection is the oldest form of genetic engineering. It is the story of humanity imposing its will onto the biological world, shaping it, kneading it, and molding it to our exact specifications. It is how we feed ourselves, how we protect our homes, and why your French bulldog snores louder than a diesel truck. And that, in a kernel, is artificial selection. If you enjoyed learning about how humans became the chief architects of evolution, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to What Is for more deeply specific explorations of the world around you. We'll see you next time.